do y'all wives know that y'all are here today?
Oh, boy.
Yes, of course.
How did that go?
Well, here, you want me to show?
Hey, Raindrops. Now, before we get into this video, I want to invite you to my community. Yes, the YouTube community of subscribers. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. I love it when you guys comment on my posts and the videos. It makes me feel good. So don't forget, like and subscribe to this channel. Hey, Raindrops. On today's episode of Reality with the King, this is a very special moment. As you all know, my favorite show on Bravo is Married to Medicine. Now, yes, we do Messy Mondays with Dr. Heavenly. I go to Quad's house and, we have a good old kiki. But today, I'm here with the two men, in my opinion, who are the force multipliers of the show. I'm talking about Dr. Eugene and Cecil!
What up, though?
Appreciate you.
You gonna leave me hanging?
Honestly!
Hey.
Give me some. You better give me some.
I know I ain't from Detroit, but I lived there for 3 years.
You did?
You didn't know that?
That's where they met.
You did have to court Toya?
No, I didn't go there to court Toya, but I was. That's where we met. I was chief resident at Detroit Receiving.
How did you meet Toya in the first place?
So, funny story. So basically, when I was on my ICU rotation, I met a nurse who was kind of flirty. I knew she had a boyfriend, but I thought she was cute, but I was not really talking to her. But she invited me to go out to this event. Mm-hmm. At the event, they were doing speed dating on the other side of the restaurant. So we're at the bar.
Okay.
We're sitting there. It's the nurse I showed up with, Toya, another friend.
You showed up with the nurse that had a boyfriend?
Yes. We were cool.
You were just there to hang.
We were there to hang.
Y'all wasn't there.
I was not dating her.
You're not one to talk about
We're
having
not dating.
female
No,
friends.
we're not dating. We're not dating.
Trust me.
Okay.
But we did a faux speed dating at our table.
Okay.
When I speed dated with the other girl that was there, I was actually a jerk. I didn't know. I was like, how many baby daddies you got? I didn't know the girl had several baby daddies. I didn't know. It was a joke. But when I speed dated with Toya, I actually liked her. So later on when we left, I told the nurse that I was there with, I was like, hey, I like your girl. I like Toya. I was like, you got to hook that up.
Toya was always bad.
And this nurse told Toya, he ain't got enough money for you.
What?
So that's how Toya called me, basically thinking to be like, hey, I don't know what she told you, but I ain't that tight, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hey, I want to take you out. She said, I got a paper I got to write. She was like, I got to rewrite it. She was in her master's program. She was like, they said I plagiarized something. I was like, I'll rewrite it for you. So I rewrote her paper.
Not talking to
Wait, next level. Next level.
Wait. I rewrote her paper.
You rewrote
with
Toya's thesis paper.
No, not her thesis. It was just a paper.
A paper.
I did the notations the proper way, and I got my date.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
And then the rest is history.
This is before y'all even had a date.
This is day one.
Dr. Eugene.
That's next level shit.
That's next level shit. You even spent $20 on the 2 for $20 at Applebee's.
I liked her.
He wrote the paper.
Rewrote Toya's paper.
It was something about it. I was hooked. It was over.
So Toya doesn't do nothing.
It's like you get that first bump. It's over.
Well,
Toya's my drug.
I have no idea what that feels like.
Oh, so I've heard. I'm an ER doctor. I'm a media crackhead. That Toya's my drug.
Oh, wow. So you've always been sprung.
It's from day one.
It has never changed.
No, we have some ups and downs now. Don't get me wrong. She a handful, but yeah.
But you love that handful.
I love the handful.
Wow. Okay, so I heard this story. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I need to hear how you and Simone met, and how did you snag Dr. Simone?
So we're a Spellhouse connection. So
for those outside of Georgia, that is Spelman, the all-girl black accredited college, and then Morehouse, the all-black male accredited college. Go ahead.
But we ended up being in the same apartment complex in Austell, Georgia. A lot of the Morehouse and Spelman students lived there. So Simone and her girlfriend were coming in from their car. I had a bunch of guys over at my place. We were playing video games. They walk up, and so my boys are like, oh, here come these girls. Here come the girls. My roommate and one other guy ran out and was like, hey, come inside. And they came in. I'm playing video games. And my roommate was like, as soon as he saw Simone, he was like, that's my girl right there. I'm going with Simone. Mm. And so
you missed to steal your girl?
He about to steal my girl, right?
Okay.
No, so I'm playing video games. They come in. The two ladies come in. I was like, okay, see Simone, see the other girl. I was like, dang, she sounded nice. But my boy was like, this is my girl. I'm going with it. So I let him roll with it for a long time. I was okay.
What's a long time?
You know, in college, a couple weeks.
Okay.
Right, a couple weeks. I was like, okay. And so I asked him one day, I was like, so is you and Simone, y'all cool? He was like, yeah, man, we good. So Simone hit me up one day and said, hey, I got a water bed and my water bed isn't working. I need somebody to fix my water bed. Now this is the 80s.
So
wait, the 80s, low. So you know,
you fixing turn papers.
I'm fixing water beds.
And you're fixing water beds.
This is the 80s though, Los, right?
Okay.
So she's like, my water bed. I said, I got a water bed back in LA. I'll come down there and I'll hook you up.
Did you really have one?
I did.
Okay.
I had a water bed, went downstairs, fixed her water bed. She was like, you're the best. I'm going to make you dinner. Mm. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm in college. So I go down. She makes some chicken wings.
You know, I've never heard this story, actually.
So
welcome to reality with the king.
Right.
She makes these chicken wings, makes a nice little dish. It was good food. And I was like, okay. And so we're down there. I said, hey, so you know, I appreciate this. This is so sweet. I said, I know you and my man, y'all going out and hanging out. She was like, I'm not with your man at all. I was like, what? She said, I'm not with him. So when I got back up to our apartment, I said, hey, are you and Simone, are y'all hanging? He's like, nah, that's just my girl. So I was like, once he said that, I was like, okay.
But did you have a conversation with him to be like, hey?
No, I mean, yeah, when I went upstairs, I asked him, I was like, hey, are you and Simone, are y'all dating? And he was like, he finally came clean and was like, nah, that's my girl.
Did you come clean and say, she cooked me dinner and I fixed her
water
bed?
He knew that. He knew that because he knew I fixed the water bed. I was the, you know.
So you were known in college for fixing water beds.
I fix everything. I do it all. I do it all. I'm a Renaissance man. I'm a Morehouse man. I'm cooking. I'm fixing stuff. I'm a Renaissance man.
And you're also, you know, a main ingredient in the Married to Medicine show. I am obsessed with this show. I am really appreciative of you two coming because, look, the show is successful not only because of the strong women who are fantastic, all of them,
absolutely,
past, present, and even the ones coming on. It's a fantastic show, but let's be clear. Without the men, the show would just be another female ensemble docuseries, which would be okay, but I don't feel like the men on the show get the props that y'all deserve. So when Dr. Eugene hit me up on Twitter...
As a joke.
I take all things seriously.
I see.
So when you hit me up on Twitter and said, you know, we need to come on, and then Cecil said, yeah, Carlos, bring us on. I said, why not?
Okay.
Because I love the show so much, and I did create this podcast so that people can have a voice. And I want to hear about the two of you and what y'all think. So do y'all wives know that y'all are here today?
Oh, boy.
Yes, of course.
How did that go?
Well, here, you want me to show? Like, Toya for some reason acts like I haven't been on the show with her for 10
Same
years.
Same for me.
Toya said, and I quote, have a good interview, talk less, and think more. And they are not your therapist. And so I hit her with a couple memes.
Okay.
And my response was like, you think after 10 years, I don't know how to conduct myself. But I think the great thing about our show, it's not just the fact that we got men here. It's actually more the couples.
Correct.
For a while, we were one of the only shows that had an all-married ensemble.
Correct.
If you really think about it. Like, there was, what else? Was it Blackish? kind of, you know, like, but besides that, even the housewives really they weren't married, you know, half of, you know, so to just be able to showcase in a reality format married couples, the things we go through, you know, I think is important. And I think what I see from you know, the Twitter audience, Instagram, and just meeting people, you know, especially guys. A lot of guys watch our show and they're like, man, I really appreciate you showing, you know, how you are with your kids, how you are with your wife. Man, me and my wife went through that, you know, and even some of, you know, me and my wife, we're very open. Like, even financial stuff we put out there, you know. You know, people are like, man, I had that problem too. I didn't know people that were doctors had that problem. You know, like, and but it resonates, and it's like that's why we're so open, because we know it may help somebody. You know, so I think it's just a great showcase of Black families. You know, Black fathers. You know, Black husbands. It's just I think it's important to put out there.
No, absolutely.
Because it's not anywhere else.
No, but that's the reason why the show is so good, is because of all of those components that make sense. So when you told Toya you were talking to Carlos King, she was cool with it.
Yeah.
Okay,
she loves you.
I love Toya. Okay. Now, your wife.
Here we go. Here we go.
Dr. Simone. As you know, I'm her favorite blogger in the world, and I love Dr. Simone. So when you told Dr. Simone that you was hopping on Carlos King's podcast.
So Carlos, let me say this. First off, before I even start, I got to give you big props for even allowing us to come on. I mean, we've been on TV for 10 years, and we've never had an opportunity to come out and talk about the show. So I really appreciate you doing this. First off,
thank you.
Let me say that. Secondly, I know it came off kind of strange with the whole blogger thing. But trust me when I tell you this, Simone and I both are huge fans of yours.
Thank you.
I mean, we are huge fans of yours. We cheer you on all the shows you do. We watch them. We tweet it out. Simone is just a different animal. And Eugene will understand what I'm saying when I go a little bit further with this. She doesn't really do reality. She doesn't do social media.
I believe that.
She doesn't really get into all of the stuff that a lot of the ladies do when it comes to going to events, talking about things.
Very true.
And so when she made the comment about bloggers, it wasn't specifically to you. She was talking about all of the interviews that that Quad had done. Mm-hmm. It wasn't your interview specifically, because we both watch your interviews. We watch your podcast, because I personally think no one else is doing anything close to what you're doing.
Thank you.
I mean, it is truly interesting stuff that we can't get anywhere else. And we watch it.
Thank you.
And so I know it came off like,
no, it's all, but you know, it's all in fun.
It was.
It's all in fun. And I want her to know that, because you know, when it came back to me, I know this. We all like to have fun, and I do this because, like I said, this isn't my show, not my creation. I do it because I love it. I love you guys. I love the genre. I have this platform to promote us, Black people, to really have a voice. So I knew, listen, me and Simone are good. I want the world to know that we have fun with it, and I don't want anyone to think that it's serious. It's really just fun shade.
Yeah.
It was fun shade. It's fun. But I love her, so thank you.
And she loves you.
Thank you. Thank you.
She does love you.
So you got to prove to appear on the podcast.
Yes, okay. I did. Now, she gave me the same kind of rules that Eugene got. Right. I probably got 3 different messages about what I should say and don't go too far. She was saying, you know, don't drink on the show. She didn't want me to be like on Club Shay Shay.
Oh!
She didn't want me to get drunk.
Hit the water that we all got.
Right, that's why we got water.
We didn't bring the Le Portier.
No, I appreciate that, and I love y'all wives, but I love you guys, and I want to get into this season has been explosive. It's the highest rated season ever in Married to Medicine history. There's a lot that's been happening this season, But there's a lot that happened prior to this that led up to why this season is so great. When it comes to Married to Medicine, do you guys have any regrets or had any regrets signing up to do the show? Because it's not like you grew up wanting to be on television.
Right.
And your wives didn't either. But when the show came around and you saw all the attention that it received, were there moments in your marriages where you sort of questioned whether or not this show was healthy enough to sustain your healthy marriage?
Well, I can start, because when we did the year 5 reunion and Simone announced that we were getting divorced, I think it's the most watched reunion on Bravo. After I walked off stage, I was like, as much as this has been a interesting journey, we should have came off of here a year or two before. Because I just felt like this is a disaster. Now, the truth be told is that it actually saved our marriage. Mm-hmm. And I know people like, how does a reality show save your marriage? But Simone and I are stubborn. We were not talking. So we had already made up in our minds, like, okay, you're ready to move on? I'm ready to move on. You don't want to talk? I don't want to talk. But then we come to the reunion, you have to talk. Mm-hmm. And not only do you have to talk, your friends are also talking to you. And they're saying things to you like, Cecil, are you sure about this? Are you going to let the devil come in between you and your marriage? And it hit me. And I was like, you know what? I haven't done enough. So as much as people sometimes down and talk about how bad reality TV is, I can truthfully tell you that without it, Simone and I would be divorced.
No, I watched that entire season and even the reunion, and to see how the couples rallied around you guys in tears to save this marriage. I thought it was beautiful, and the reason why this show is great is because it is real friendships. And you guys may fight and bicker, but fundamentally, it is about real friendships. In that moment, going back to season 5, obviously the biggest controversy was that you had a female friend named Tammy. And it appeared that Tammy was coming in between your marriage with Simone. The fact that you would hang out with this woman as a married man. The fact that you guys would have conversations as a married man. Did you and Tammy ever cross the line?
It never crossed the line. Simone never thought we crossed the line. But we were really good friends. I mean, like, that was like a sister to me. And I think that we didn't understand the dynamic. I know I didn't understand the dynamic of how it was affecting Simone, because they were hanging out. I mean, they went to London together.
Tammy and
Simone went to London together.
Without you.
Without me. And so I'm thinking, okay, we're cool. She's cool with Simone without me. But after Simone explained to me how she was feeling, that's when I was like, okay. Initially, I didn't get it.
Because was Tammy friends with you first or Simone first?
Yes, she was a work friend. We worked together at Coca-Cola.
Y'all worked together at Coca-Cola.
Played golf, hung out. She's just a good person. Mm-hmm. And became a friend of ours.
Was she married?
Not married. She was divorced.
Okay.
But she had become a friend of the family. Friend of us, friend of Simone's mom, her sister. I mean, she was truly like family. But it did get to a place where Simone got uncomfortable because she felt like she was spending too much time with the family, too much time with me. And I didn't get that concept because I was like, wait a minute. I mean, this is family. Like, why would we push back from family? And that's the reason why when we were going through our issues, I didn't get it. And that's the reason why I was like, well, if that's the issue, then that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. I'm going to go ahead and move. I'm going to go this way. You go that way. Because I don't understand what you're talking about. until we got to the reunion and she started explaining to me what hurt her about it. And then once she explained to me what hurt her about the situation, I was like, you know what? I haven't done everything in my power to try to fix it. And so when I got back to Atlanta, Tammy and I had a conversation and I fixed it.
How did that conversation go between you and Tammy?
I mean, it wasn't the best conversation, but she was truly a friend. So when we had the conversation, she was hurt, but at the same time, she was like, Cecil, I totally get it. I totally get it, and I understand what you got to do. And from that point, I mean, we met at Spawn Divots. We were sitting at the bar, having drinks, having a good time. We had the conversation. I haven't talked to her. I saw her one other time at a friend's birthday party. We hung out at a birthday party. Other than that, I haven't talked to her in 6 years, 5-6 years.
But that's the power of the show, I think, is that we're being most of us are being very genuine with our lives.
Most of us.
Right. And I said that on purpose. Most of us are being very genuine with our lives. And a lot of people are going through these same things. Mm-hmm. And life's not black and white. It's a lot of shades of gray. Mm-hmm. And so I can see as a man being very confused in that situation, like, okay, if my wife's cool with her, what's the problem? You know, but I think a lot of men who are watching the show probably gain some insight on your wife doesn't think like you think, you know, and so there's a lesson to be learned there. And so putting that out there has helped who knows how many people's marriages.
Right. Yeah, because again, I watched the show and I think what was unclear I'll just speak for myself, for me, was if Tammy and Simone are traveling together, they're going to London together, she's part of the family, you guys work together, she comes to the crib, she plays with the kids, you know, all these things. What changed where Simone felt that I no longer want this woman around my husband? Like, was there anything specific? Was it the fact that you two were spending too much one-on-one time together? Did Tammy inappropriately send you a text message? Like, what was the moment in Simone's mind that shifted that this is no longer something I'm okay with?
I mean, and that's a beautiful question. And I don't know 100% that this is the right answer, but I will say this. There was a time where Tammy had a flat tire and she called me and said, hey, I'm on the side of the road. I got a flat tire. Can you come and help me out? And I went. And I said, okay. And I told someone, I said, hey, Tammy's on the side of the road. I got to go. I'm going to go help her. I think that maybe how I moved on that, like I moved so fast, like it was like, I got to go help Tammy. I think that might have been a trigger for Simone to be like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I don't get the same. Can
I offer a different perspective?
Please do.
Because me and Toya have had a conversation similar. I think I was going to say a woman, but actually it could be either gender. I think when your spouse is confiding in the opposite sex about your relationship, it becomes problematic. Like, you can be friends with them, but don't talk to them about our relationship. So once like surface stuff, I think is okay. But if me and Toya get into an argument and I call a female friend to get advice about the argument, that's when it becomes an issue for Toya.
No, and I think that's fair, but that wasn't our relationship.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't our relationship, but that is fair. Yeah. That is a fair point because
I think saw you jump really fast.
I jumped
to
fast.
go jump start someone's car because they had a flat tire.
Carlos, don't say jump start.
No, I'm saying that's.
He said a
but no, because I now, because again, I wanted to sort of like paint the picture for the world.
Yes,
and I now understand that if I am at home and my husband is doing him, and he comes into the room and says, "Babe, I gotta go. Tammy got a flat tire. I gotta pump it up, right? I gotta." You know what I'm saying? And she sees you sweating, and she sees you got your running Nikes on, and you are in the car, pedal to the metal. I can understand why she's sort of like, now why are you rushing to do that for her? But let me ask you this. Were you ever attracted to Tammy?
No.
Never. Is she an
Never.
attractive woman?
She's an attractive woman, but I mean, I like all
I
women.
made a face. I'm sorry.
I like all women.
You made a face?
I mean, some of my friends would be like, okay, yeah, I know Cecil is not attractive to Tammy. But the truth to the matter is she's such a sweet lady. Mm-hmm. She's such a beautiful spirit that she's an attractive woman. I just wasn't attracted to her. I mean, but we played golf together. We hung out. I mean, she's one of the nicest people you ever meet. But at the same time, running out the way I did for her, and you know, of course, when you're married, when you're in a relationship, people never feel like you jump when they ask, right?
Yes.
And I probably didn't jump every time Simone asked.
Correct.
And so to see me jump in this occasion, and then when there was a time when we had a snowstorm and Simone was over at Northside Hospital, and I asked her, like, are you sure you need me to come get you? I think she tied those two together and bingo.
Yeah. Do you miss Tammy?
I mean, yes, I do. I miss Tammy because we were in a golf group, and now I'm not in the golf group anymore. All the guys cut me to play Tammy. So we used to play in a golf group.
Wait, you mean to tell me your homeboys in the golf group?
I don't get any invites anymore. I get 0 invites.
They chose Tammy over you.
They did. I mean, they did. And I understand it.
Damn, Cecil, I didn't know that. I'm
did.
going to learn how to play golf. I play with
Right. I need it.
But
Yeah.
why?
So
Is she a good golfer?
she's a good golfer. But she's just a nice person.
But you're.
And-
I think you're the nicest.
Thank you.
I love you, Eugene. But I think Cecil. I really do love you. I think you're the nicest guy in the world.
I appreciate that, Carlos.
And
I try to be nice, but at the same time, I wasn't mad at my guys for stop inviting me out to play golf. I don't play with those guys anymore. And these are some of the people I introduced Tammy to, these guys. And I don't play in that group anymore. I got new guys now.
I need to meet Tammy to see what. I mean, is Tammy in a relationship now?
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't talked to her in like 5+ years.
Did you ever resent Simone for not being able to continue this friendship? And now even
Yes.
hearing that you lost your golf friends because of you ending this friendship.
I didn't resent her at all. I made a conscious decision when we were in New York at the reunion talking about it that, you know what, because at that point, I mean, I'd been married 20 years. So I'm like, you know what, if this is going to jeopardize me moving forward with my wife, then I got to let it go. And so I don't fault her. I'm totally fine with it. I'd make the same decision tomorrow. But she was my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you guys mentioned earlier is you feel like the majority of y'all showcase your real lives. Who do you think on the show is not showcasing their real life?
Who's not here?
Jackie and Curtis.
Well, all right, put it this way. When I think if you look back in the show and you don't see a lot of scenes in the person's home, I don't think those people are showing their authentic self. Like there's certain people I've never even stepped foot in their home.
From a camera standpoint.
Like
they don't show it.
Yeah. Well,
No, you physically.
Well, I segued into a different topic. Well, I think camera-wise, there's some people you don't really see their life that much in their home. I think those people aren't being 100% authentic with everything.
Yeah.
They're showing a representation of themselves. And I'll just leave it at that.
So as we're talking about Dr. Jackie and Curtis.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You said that.
What does Curtis do in the Dominican Republic?
So what he explained to us is that he's in a group and they're looking to build a resort in a part of the DR that's not fully established.
Yeah. He told us it was a development deal, but that's all we know. We don't know anything else.
What's so funny, Eugene?
I don't know. You were looking around like there's more today. We don't know anything else.
Oh, because I saw flies fly around because there was bullshit.
Oh,
here.
he was looking at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So allegedly, Curtis
Allegedly.
is in the Dominican Republic building a resort.
I mean, no, I mean, not even allegedly. I mean, he sent out the pamphlet. We saw the pamphlet where he's one of the partners of this development group. I mean, Jackie understands it. Jackie sends it out and shows people he's part of a development group building a resort in the DR. Now, we haven't gotten an invite to go, so I haven't seen it with my own eyes.
When Curtis got caught at Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport going through Spirit Airlines near Frontier, holding hands with a woman, carrying coach luggage. Were you guys aware at that time that he was having an affair?
No.
He never revealed
No.
it.
And Curtis and I were friends. I mean, I met Curtis. I mean, I knew Jackie before they got married. And so I met Curtis as soon as she met him. But no, we were not hanging out like that. I mean, I didn't know he had somebody on the side.
If you two would have known that he was cheating on Jackie, would you have told your wives?
Eugene, you want to answer first? Because
That's a good question.
That's a great question. Because I think I know what Eugene's going to say.
Put it this way, me and Toya are pretty open with each other.
You pillow talk.
Beyond pillows.
we talk.
They talk.
You would have told Toya.
Some kind of way yeah.
He would have told.
I mean,
You keep it real, man. Keep it real.
What
Keep it
I
real.
probably would have done is real talk.
Mm-hmm.
My kind of general thing with this is, hey Toya, talk to Jackie because just make sure she's okay, relationship wise, and I probably would have left it at that. One thing I don't like doing is like acting like I know something that I don't. Now, just because I see somebody with somebody, I'm not going to assume it's what I think it looks like, because it could be something totally different. For instance, I saw a friend the other day. He's a lawyer. He was in a restaurant with a blonde, right? He's married. Now, I think he was on a business meeting, you know. But if you didn't know that and you just ran with it and said, hey, he over there with this girl, like that's wrong.
Right, because that's
to
assuming.
put out. That's
Yeah.
assuming. So just because I see somebody out with somebody, I don't know if that's his cousin.
But you never seen Curtis out.
I don't know if that's his daughter's friend that he's, I don't know. He's got a grown daughter. That his daughter could have been in the bathroom, and that could have been, he could have been, it could have been all kind of different scenarios. So I would have just been like, hey, saw something, don't know what it was, just check on Jackie.
But if Curtis would have told you.
Oh, yeah, Curtis wouldn't have told me that.
He wouldn't have told you guys that.
He would have told me.
He might.
He would have told you.
He might would tell me. I wouldn't tell though.
You wouldn't tell someone.
I wouldn't tell someone, because the other part of the equation is that I see so many times where people go back and tell, and then the person forgives the person, and now you're the odd man out.
Right.
So I would never do it. I would never tell.
Right. Now, if he told me, my conversation with the man would have been a counseling session.
Yes. Now that's different.
That's different.
No,
yeah.
no, I would have I'd have a conversation with
me,
Curtis.
We would have had a conversation like, look,
I've had
what can we do other than this?
Yeah,
'Cause
I've
this
had
is obviously
multiple
wrong.
friends.
Yeah.
I've had multiple friends that had gotten off track, and we've had conversations. Sometimes the conversations go well, sometimes the conversations don't. But I'm gonna have a conversation with the guy. I'm not going back and telling the wife though.
Yeah. No, listen, I think that's what all men would do. If we're all being honest, besides Eugene,
Yes.
who would tell
Eugene's
Toya
different. Eugene's
as
different.
they're watching Judge Judy. But other than that, because this is the thing about Married to Medicine, and again, as a producer, this is what I feel is missing. I love Dr. Jackie. I think she's fantastic on the show. She's what's needed for the show. She's the medicine, Married to Medicine. We were exposed to some infidelity within her and Curtis' marriage. I feel like ever since that was exposed, we just don't see anything. And it begs the question of, What's happening?
Curtis is a pretty private person. Like, so of the guys on the show, I'm probably closest with Cecil. I've known Damon probably the longest. And right after Damon, probably Gregory. But I do know Curtis is a pretty private person. Like, we're not friends. Like, we talk on the phone. Obviously we film together, but that's our interaction. And I think we're good. But I understand that he is not the person who's going to share everything of his life before the infidelity or after. And so he's just not the type to be filming like we film. It's just not going to happen. So
you film a lot.
I do. And
we love seeing that. There has been tons of people. Dr. Heavenly has called you sassy. She believes you are a sassy man. What do you think when you hear that? Because you're married to a woman who's on this show that's very opinionated, and the show is about couples. When you hear that someone like Dr. Heavenly thinks you're sassy, does that offend you?
No. I put it this way. I laugh it off. I think a couple things. One, I think this notion of manhood, I think has gotten the script has been we've gotten off on, like, if you're not in this mold that people think you're supposed to be in,
hyper-masculinity,
right?
Yeah.
Then you're either hyper-masculine or you a sissy.
Sassy.
Sassy. Whatever. Eugene. Whatever. Call it whatever. I don't really give it. I'm gonna buy him a dress. Like, okay, make it a nice one. Whatever. I know what I am. I know what I am, and I know what I answer to. But I think there's different ways to be a man. Like, manhood isn't one singular thing. Just like womanhood is not one singular thing. But this whole notion of women's business and that kind of thing. Like, if we were to rewind 30 years ago, the women wouldn't have had anything to say. We'd have just been man talk. And we would have squashed them and said, no, you all stay in your place. Don't say anything. But I think, society's kind of overcorrected and oversteered, where now women are in this thing where we have a voice and we're supposed to be equal, but now we're trying to tear men down to not be able to have something to say. My thing with the show is, we're all here. We're all filming. We're all, have, if you're talking about my family, I should have something to say that's not, me being sassy. Like, I'm speaking up either for my wife or my family or for myself. Like, you don't get to talk about my family and I don't have an opinion. Just, I just don't see why we're trying to silence a man's voice, because 30 years ago, we were trying to silence women's voice, and we said that was wrong, And so it's equally wrong to silence my voice as well. So, I don't really care about the sassy comments or the Eugene comments.
But the thing about, okay,
it's like,
Eugene, listen.
I am who I am. I know who I am.
And we love that you are who you are, and we love that you, as a black man, you're very secure in your skin. And I said this to Quad, and I said this to Toya. When Quad called you Eugenia, I did think, like, okay, that's too far. And I said this to her.
There's been other things she said that I think were further.
Like what?
Than Eugenia. Like the stuff about me and Toya were drunk driving with our kids. That was further. Like the stuff about we might have robbed Kieran and Anila. That was further. Like those are the things that I take offense to, and those are the things I actually have said something about. But then when I say something, it's, we're going to get him a dress. And like, well, you kind of don't get to say what you want about my family doing something criminal, and I don't get to say something, because I'm a physician. Like, and, some of the stuff that Jackie's been saying lately about, you don't get to say something about a physician. Like, it's the stakes are a little higher for us, because even though, I have to get certified to work at these hospitals. And if the CEO of the hospital looks at the show and says, oh, he might be a criminal? Like, what if he says, well, I don't want him working here. I don't want Jackie working at that hospital. Then that affects my longevity and my ability to take care of patients that I love, take care of my family that I love. Like, you don't get to just say I'm doing something criminal with no proof. And so those are the times that I've said something and people have been like, oh, well, you stay out of women's business. No, that's not women's business. This is This is everybody's business. This is my business now. You're talking about my business, you know?
Well, and you know, the thing that's disappointing about it, and you know, I hate to go to the whole race thing, but I do believe that it happens more on the black shows.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, on the black shows, if a man has anything to say, he's being sassy. And I love Nene, but I think when Nene started out with Peter about being, you know, Patricia and so forth, I think she started the narrative that if a guy has anything to say, that he's in women's business and he shouldn't have anything to say on this show. The other side to the coin is, as you know, they're asking our opinion.
Yeah.
We're coming out and they're asking our opinion to speak on it. Now, sometimes we'll say things and sometimes we might decide, you know what, I'm not going to speak on that. I mean,
And for me, that's not why we like this show. Because you made a good point. Married to Medicine is the first black reality show that focused on married couples. And because of Married to Medicine doing that so successfully, and you may having opinions, I'm able to have created Love and Marriage. You know, a show to where both men and women have an opinion. Now, the difference with that show is they're all main stars of it, and they all get paid.
Right.
You guys do not get paid.
No, we don't.
On Married to Medicine.
Right.
Do you feel like it's time for you guys to get paid on the show?
Yes and no. Now, do I want to have the schedule that my wife has with this show? Absolutely not. I'm not available to film 5 times a week. Okay, this is a part-time kind of gig for me when we're filming. But do I think the audience, when looking at it, wouldn't know that we're not getting paid. No, but the men, we are pivotal to the success of the show, whether we're paid or not. Whether we're in the Dominican Republic or in Atlanta, you know, like we're here, right?
You my type of guy, Dr. Eugene.
We're here.
You guys are a pivotal part of the show, so much so that you guys are storylines, right? I want to talk about Quad.
Carlos, you might want to look this way when you talk about Quad. Don't look that way.
Well, if that's the case. No, I'm teasing. But no, real talk. What are your thoughts on Quad?
I wish her well. What do you mean? What do you mean? What are my thoughts? That's a very general question.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of as a person, you know, like you said, she has called you Eugenia. She has, you know, made comments about the robbery. She has apologized to you and Toya about that on my podcast as well. You two seem to have this very divisive relationship.
Who has a divisive relationship?
You and Quad.
Me and Quad?
Well, it appears that you two go back and forth.
So you just want my honest opinion?
About Quad.
She's just not my favorite person in the world.
Because
I wish her well. Mm-hmm. I just I've let Quad back into my family's circle multiple times, and it doesn't seem to go well every time we say, "Hey, we'll hug after an apology," and so I wish her well, but I have nothing else really to say to Quad necessarily. Like if she, you know, I can be in the same room with anybody. I don't wish no ill will on her. She's just not my favorite person. She's Cecil's favorite person. So we can talk to Cecil about that.
Do you accept her apology?
Of course. I accept it. But that doesn't mean accepting an apology doesn't mean that I want to be your friend either. Mm. And there's a lot of people in this world that I can wish them well, I can be in the same room with them, but I'm not confiding in you. I'm not necessarily wanting to be your friend. There were some hurtful things over the years, and Toya's mentioned this multiple times, I'm sure.
Are you still hurt by it?
I think the robbery stuff and the cheating stuff and the drunk driving stuff were biggies. Like I think our show, the platform of reality TV, I get the shade, like some shade, like even stuff I've said. I've said a bunch of stuff, and sometimes I just get to talking.
You will say some shit.
I say stuff.
You'll say some shit.
And Curtis checked me on one thing that I said. And I said, hey, I was joking. That was over the line. The whole dunking in the basket thing. That was a joke. I apologize. I think he forgives me, but if he doesn't, but I think he does. Mm-hmm. But I think you can cross a line in reality TV. Where when you start talking about people doing something criminal and you have no proof, like that's when I think it's really crossing a big line. When you're saying things that could result, like the whole cheating thing.
Her accusing Toya of cheating.
Right. With someone in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Now, I know the backstory behind some of this. Because, and that's the thing. Another thing why I think the show is so successful, we all kind of knew each other. We've known each other for a long time. And some of the stuff that comes up on our show isn't, I don't think, even explained well once you edit and chop it.
It's hard to explain.
It's hard to explain some of the stuff because some of the stuff go real deep, So if I was the type of guy, if I was this ultra masculine guy who I heard that my wife was cheating with who it was said was cheating with, if I was the type to just go over to his house, that wouldn't have been a good scenario at all. But I'm not that type, luckily. I'm sassy.
That's true.
So I had just a conversation with my wife. We talked about it, and I believe my wife.
Did you ask Toya whether or not she cheated on you with this guy?
Well, actually, who it was supposed to be, I thought it was funny because I know Toya doesn't even like this person that much.
Okay.
But we did have a conversation. Because once it comes up, you still got to have a conversation.
Right.
And the
was there a small part of you that believed it?
I think there's always going to be a gut punch anytime somebody tells you your wife is with somebody else, whether it's true or not. Now, once I heard it, gut punch, but then it's like, Eugene, that's not even possible. Then you have the conversation with your wife and be like, okay, this all makes sense. Problem solved. But still, the person who kind of perpetuates the rumor doesn't know that I'm the type to just have a conversation with my wife. Because there are some guys out there who are not going to have a conversation. They're going to go be very active, like proactive, and try to do something to the guy.
Right.
They're either just going to leave the girl and be like, are you cheating? And she's going to be like, baby, this, I'm not. And he may not believe, what if I was type to just not believe it? Like, Qua said you were cheating, so I got to believe you. You're her, I'm not that type. But it's still, you're saying something that could have caused a lot of problems. The whole, well, what if we robbed Anila and Kieran? That's a big deal, And a lot of people are probably like, well, why are you all, because recently we've gotten back in, I think, a friendly kind of situation with Anila and Kieran. Mm-hmm. But they've been both very apologetic, very, and to the point where I believe y'all now. The first time Toya said, hey, come over to Kieran and Anila's house. I was like, I'm not going over there. For what? She's apologized to me. I was like, so? That don't mean nothing. Mm-hmm. But now I get, I've hung out with them a couple of times. And I think they're now genuine. And so it's about how you act after your apology, after the apology. Mm-hmm. Quad's apologized multiple times. There's been multiple girls on the show that apologized multiple times. It doesn't mean anything afterwards. So you can talk to Cecil now about Quad.
So Quad's your favorite person.
I mean, she's not my favorite person, but she's sweet. But you got to remember, there's a history here. Mm-hmm. We've known Quad 10 years. We've hung out outside the show. We went to Vegas for the Mayweather fight when her and Gregory were still married. I was pulling for her and Gregory to be able to pull their relationship together. My experience hasn't been the same as Eugene. And Eugene and I talk about this all the time because we're good friends and we'll have conversations. He'll raise something to me and I'll be like, yeah, that's a good point. It's hard for me to see it because she never comes at me that way, right? And everything that I've seen from her has been, at least from our family's perspective, has been pretty genuine. Mm-hmm. And that's the part I like.
Yeah, and I do think, one of the things about the cheating thing, and again, this is just me watching the show, because I think Toya accused Quad of sleeping with the contractors.
No, she just somebody else said that first.
Somebody on the show said it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Toya wasn't the initiator of that.
No.
Who was?
I think my wife might have been the first one to actually repeat it. She repeated it, but not.
Dr. Simone repeated it first?
She did. I think my wife might have been the first one to repeat it.
Yeah.
But she repeated it on something that somebody else had told her too, which she shouldn't have done.
Okay.
But she did repeat it.
Now, the bite that you see a lot, I think the biggest conversation about it, I think, was the reunion.
Yes.
And that was between Quad and Toya. So it makes it like it's a bigger thing, and it's kind of time-stamped for the audience at that moment. But Toya didn't say that first.
Okay.
That was not something Toya knew or was going seeking. Like that wasn't her tea that she came up with.
Look at that tea.
I love it. So obviously, when you guys started the show, Quad was married to Dr. G. We saw the ups and downs of their relationship, then the divorce, and he was not on the show anymore. And now that he's back, he's with Sweet Tea. What do you guys feel about Dr. G coming back to Married to Medicine?
I put it this way, just because just in the same way that we're saying the men are pivotal to the show, and the men have we've stuck in there for the show for a long time. Dr. G was there from the beginning, so him coming back is like it's like a character that kind of left for a second and came back. Like I look at the show like an audience person looking at the show.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Dr. G back in the day. I thought it was hilarious, and so I still think he's hilarious. I think he's good for the show. But I like him now coming back because he really looks happy now. So just as a personal man-to-man thing, I like this Dr. G better.
You think Sweet Tea makes Dr. G happier than Quad did?
I think I just see him as a happy person.
Happier,
yes.
I mean, I think that's the beauty of it, though, too. The beauty of it is we're getting to see Dr. G in a different light.
Right. It's the evolution of somebody. I like seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, he looks different. I mean, even in their scenes when they're in the home together that we don't know is going on, but when we watch it, like, okay, he took the trash out. They showed him taking the trash out this year. He never took the trash out with Quad. So, I mean, just to see that and to see him, because here's the other side to it. Gregory and I play golf together. We were hanging out even when he wasn't on the show. But the thing that I think is important is Dr. G being a psychiatrist, I think it's important to our community to have someone like him on the show to be able to have a voice for some of the stuff that we got going on in our mental state and what's going on in the community. And I think Dr. G is an amazing voice. I hope he writes. I've been pushing him to write a book to talk about mental health. I mean, it's needed in our community. And Dr. G is an amazing doctor. I mean, he is an amazing doctor. I've seen him on a golf trip stop playing, come off the course to go and talk to his patients. He's not on call. But someone found out, they had his number. They send him a message. He calls them back. The guy is amazing. And so for me to have someone like that on the show, that gives everyone who's watching the show a different perspective. Because, I mean, doctors are real people. And that's the thing that I love about Married to Medicine. Yes, everyone was on the show and married. But the other side to this equation is these are real doctors. Mm-hmm. And we're not talking about just Jackie and Simone, but Jackie, Simone, Damon, Eugene, Gregory, Alicia, Kimma.
Yeah.
These are real doctors. And this is not a situation where these people are playing doctors on TV.
Yeah.
And not everyone grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. These are people who grew up regular, like everyone else, but they went the extra mile to become a doctor. To me, that's an amazing. I think that's what sets our show apart.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's to highlight and showcase that love of Black excellence when it comes to
and heavenly too. I just want to make sure I didn't say heavenly.
you said heavenly.
Did I say heavenly? I don't know if I did. I just want to make sure.
I think you said Damon.
I said Damon. I'm not sure. I said
heavenly.
Heavenly too.
Okay,
no. It's an amazing cast of accomplished Black folks. Some folks went to HBCU, some didn't, but folks that grew up with some folks with single parents, didn't have a whole bunch of money. I mean, Simone's story is amazing. I tell her all the time, you should be writing a book. Her and her mom and dad divorced when Simone was younger. And Simone decided when she was 12, she was going to be a doctor. And she did everything in her power to make that happen. To me, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, that's why, again, it's the best show on Bravo, because I think what it does is shows the audience and even the hopefuls the way we were watching a different world. And we saw Black people in college, and it made us all want to go to an HBCU. You know, my hope for this show is that it showcases that you too can be a doctor in whatever, you know, form that may be, whether it's dentistry, ER, surgeon, all that stuff. Mariah Hook obviously created this show. Do you two, being the men behind, you know, the women who are the face of the show, do you feel like at the end of the day, it was wrong for Mariah to get kicked off the show she created?
I think Mariah did an amazing job putting this together in the beginning.
Amazing.
I was being somebody who was there from the very, very beginning, even before we got picked up with Pop. You know, we were in the first sizzle reel with the other company. I think she did a wonderful job. I think, if you want my honest opinion, some of the background stuff between her and production company, I think that got muddy. It wasn't her on-scene persona. It wasn't her relationship with the girls either, in my opinion. I think Mariah's not on our show because of some internal stuff with the people who the production company that produces our show. Because it's not, I don't like the narrative that I see on Twitter where the girls got rid of Mariah and the girls got rid of Quad. None of these ladies can get rid of anybody. Okay, they are individuals. They can ask you to leave a party. They can ask you to leave Napa from their trip, but they can't kick you off a show. Mm-hmm. Only you can kick you off a show, and only you and your relationship with the people who sign your check can get rid of you. Okay, and just like, you know, shows that you put on, you know, there's no two people on that you pay that can get rid of another person that you pay. You can get rid of them, but they can't. And so I think the narrative that the ladies bound together to exile,
kick her off the show.
You know, her like she was Napoleon, and now she's on the island. Mm-hmm. It didn't work that way. It makes sense for somebody who watches the show, I think, because people that watch the show don't think that there's a production company. They think this is real. They think everything they see is like, well, they asked Quad to leave. That's why Quad ain't back. You know, it's like, well, Quad might not be back because Quad didn't show up on time. You know, Quad might not be back because when Quad shows up, she say, I'm only here for my check, not for y'all. You know, so there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that are going on that people don't see. So, but to go full circle, I think Mariah put together an amazing ensemble. I think the idea to have people who really, really actually knew each other to do this thing was amazing. And that's why we've stayed on TV for 10 years because we organically worked. And honestly, I think that's why Houston didn't work. That's why LA didn't work, because you were trying to handpick these weird random people that didn't know each other and then bring them together. Right. We already knew each other. And so that's why when we get mad, we get real, real mad. You know, but when we get happy, we get real, real happy. And that's why the longevity has been the way it's been, because it's very organic. So I do give Mariah all the credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, Mariah's amazing. I mean, we're not sitting here talking to you without Mariah. And not only that, I mean, to look at 5 of the women, the main cast women, were all brought in by her. These aren't people that were auditioned by the production company. These are her people. Mm-hmm. And to Eugene's point, I think
technically Toya introduced Heavenly to Mariah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's all still it all still comes through. It still all comes through Mariah. And I truly believe if Mariah was involved with Houston and L.A., it might have been different. Mm-hmm. Because I think her eye for reality TV is different. Mm-hmm.
That's
she's
powerful
amazing.
To say.
She's amazing. But to Eugene's point, there were some things going on behind the scenes that we had a chance to witness that wasn't pretty.
She said on my podcast that there were some intense conversations and moments. You know, she did say that, I said this show was married to Mariah because I felt like they were trying to erase history, that they were trying to ice me out, and I had to constantly fight as a Black woman to be heard and to be seen and to be respected. Are those things that you guys have seen her fight to do and to be?
I mean, we saw those, but we also saw other stuff too.
Like what, Cecil?
I mean,
well, let me. Can I? I'm gonna try to say this as diplomatically as I can. I think some people just like to fight. Some people got a lot of fight in them. It doesn't mean that there's somebody on the other side that's even wanting to fight. Does that make sense?
Well, let me hold on. Let me say this part about it. So the other side to this, I think, is we were not involved when Mariah signed her deal with the production company. So we don't know what they agreed to from a executive producer standpoint, a money standpoint, rolling out on other shows. We don't know what happened with that. But what I can tell you is this. Based on how she reacted to the production company, whatever deal she got wasn't one that she was pleased with. Mm-hmm. And so because she wasn't pleased with her deal, when the production folks were around, she would get in their ass. I mean, and we would actually be filming a scene.
That's what I meant. Like some people just like.
And she might say something in the camera directly to the production company, and we're filming. She know the shit getting cut out, but she might say something directly to the production company. Like, I mean, she was upset. And again, I don't know what her deal was. I don't know if they reneged. She might have been well within her right to be upset. I don't know, but she was hot, and it came off. And so if I'm a business person. I worked at Coca-Cola for 20 years, corporate America for 25 years. If I'm running a business and someone is working for me is what I call being insubordinate, I'm probably going to let them go. And
that was a better way to say it.
I mean, I think technically...
He said it in a very concise way for all of us to get a clear picture of it. But I don't know if you guys saw her on my podcast. She's in a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
She built a studio in McDonough. And do you guys still keep in touch with Aiden or no?
He haven't talked to me.
He cut us loose.
He cut us loose.
I mean, and I love Aiden. Aiden's a good guy. Mariah's family to us. Mm-hmm. I know she talked about it on your podcast. I mean, her aunt was our nanny. Simone delivered.
Right.
Her son, and so I mean, it was tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. When Mariah wasn't on the show, it was hurtful. It was hurtful for me, and it was hurtful for Simone.
And I watched the podcast she did with Mariah, and I think she even alluded to it a little bit. Her last season, Toya and I were still in her corner.
She loves Toya.
Yeah, we were still, and to this day, I'm like, I think she was wrong on a couple things. I will always say that, and we were on her side that last season. But again, it goes to what Cecil was saying. Some of the stuff outside of the ladies, outside of all the couples, I think is why she's not here. Mm-hmm. I just don't like the narrative that we got rid of anybody, because that's not possible. We can't do that.
I want to talk about you and Toya. Toya was on my podcast, and I love your wife. And she and I are both from Detroit, and we have this special bond. And I'm very honest with Toya. And I said to Toya, I was not happy when she would make comments about you.
Which one?
Well, I mean, we got all day. No, listen, all jokes aside, listen, you know how much I adore you. I was going through a family situation recently, and thank you to Toya. I reached out to her to get through you, and you have been there for me for some very crucial months in my life.
Absolutely.
And I want the world to know that from Dr. Jackie to you, I will always be grateful for the love that you guys have shown me behind the scenes. And because of you, my situation has gotten better with a family member. So I wanted the world to know that I have a deep affection for you because you are a great man and you are a great doctor. And when I spoke to Toya on my podcast last year, and this is before my situation was happening with my family member, I said, I don't like the way you talk to him. I didn't like how she would make references to you having a small penis.
She didn't, though. The ladies took... Okay.
Okay, no.
She
Go
cleared...
ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
One, she cleared it up on a recent podcast.
Okay.
We talked even the day that this all came out. What she said and what the conversation was about was when you get married, it is what it is. Okay? Now, I know my wife. I know me. I bring up weird little references. I've done it today multiple times. We just say little stuff to get our point across that's a little on the edge of where we probably should. Now, what she was giving examples to the ladies, like, when you get married, this ain't going to get no different. If you better be happy with what you got, because it's not going to get no different. Hopefully, if his penis ain't going to get bigger, and I would say the same thing. Her butt ain't gonna get no bigger.
No, I watched it. No. I watched the episode. Toya said verbatim. She said. I thought when I got married, I thought that his penis would get bigger.
That's not what she said.
I saw it on the show. What did she?
We gotta run it back. She said he said his penis, not mine. She said the proverbial penis is not going to get any bigger.
Yeah, I didn't say she said Eugene's.
She said his penis.
Correct.
Isn't going.
I thought his penis.
Right.
No, she said his penis isn't going to get any bigger. So be happy with whatever you got.
Yeah.
Now here's the flip side.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Now,
do y'all think that this person who claims on every green screen that I've ever done with her for the last 10 years is this sexual demon, do you think that she would be with somebody who couldn't satisfy her? I don't think so. Toya's a very good-looking woman.
She is top 3.
Top 1.
Of course, well, you're her husband. She's up there with Kenya Moore and Portia.
Okay, so
Toya is.
I don't think if I couldn't do what I needed to do and wasn't adequate enough.
Yes.
I don't think she'd still be around.
So you weren't offended by that comment when you first heard it?
I didn't like. Okay, I don't like the penis conversation because I'm truth be told, I'm an extroverted introvert. I'm actually pretty. If you leave me alone, I can just sit and not talk to nobody.
Yes.
Okay. I can perform, but this ain't the me by myself is a pretty quiet person. So when I'm hearing that my penis is being talked about on the reunion show, I'm not happy. You know, do I like biscuits being thrown at me? I'm not happy. But do I know who I married? Absolutely.
Was there a conversation you had with Toya about that?
Yeah, we talked about it.
What about the conversations when it comes to she's not being satisfied in the sex department?
Now that's separate.
Okay.
And that actually was a journey that I've been very vocal about that. Like there was a point where I think I was getting a little bit depressed, and I started when the pandemic was going on, and Toya talked about that. I thought it was all the pandemic. But even maybe a couple years before the pandemic hit, I was starting to get a little lazy at home, kind of to myself, not really. My zest for life was kind of like down, and didn't know what it was until I went to the doctor. And I was like, please check my testosterone level. I was like, I'm mid-40s. I was like, just check it. you know. And I think it's an important thing, I think, just for men's health, for us to talk about. Like, once a man gets to the point where they're like 35, sometimes your testosterone level starts to drop naturally, and you need replacement. Just like if you're a diabetic. If your insulin levels are down, you need to take some, it's a hormone. And if it's down, you need to replace. My testosterone level was like at the level of like a 65-year-old man. And so getting replaced, like now I'm like, oh, I feel good again. I can do stuff in the bedroom now. I'm losing weight now, And so those are the things that, like, even just doing it for myself, that's why I opened up, like, my clinic now, Recharge Wellness, where I'm doing hormone replacement for people, doing weight loss for people because I've lost 55 pounds. Like, I feel amazing. But I get, marriages are up and down for all different kinds of reasons, whether it's, the stuff that Cecil talked about earlier, whether it's, somebody's got a hormone issue. There's going to be these, but you just got to figure out what the problem is and then fix it. Y'all fixed it. I was like, okay, obviously there's something wrong with me. Let me go fix that. So I don't take offense that Toya was like, hey, I feel like I'm alone in this house, and because that's her truth. And I had to man up and be like, okay, yeah, you're right, because I'm not as attentive. And now that I've like gotten my stuff together, I'm a lot more attentive and I think a lot more engaged with all facets of the relationship. So I don't mind her saying that kind of stuff because
you revealed in a recent episode that the word divorce did come up. Why did that word come up during your marriage?
It's a lot of ups and downs. I think for as much as we Toya and I are both fire signs. We're both mouthy. We both think we're right all the time. And sometimes that clashes, And then when you have like a lot of external stuff, like the cheating stuff, even though I'm like, yeah, you think stuff bounces off you, but to a certain point, it can affect you to the point where you're like, yeah, I know that's not true, but are we good? And then when you're not spending as much time, you got the rigmarole with the kids, you really got to re-engage. And that's why this year with like the dates that we've been doing, just kind of re-engaging as a couple, I think was important. And honestly, Cecil and Simone, just like we tried to help them, they had an intervention with us.
With you and Toya?
Oh, yeah. This wasn't shown, but we got invited. We got invited to dinner.
When?
This was before. This was in between season 9 and 10.
Yeah, between 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we had a camera, boy.
Yeah.
So you and Simone took it upon yourselves.
And some other mutual friends.
And some other friends.
Got me and Toya. We
got
invited.
Dinner.
We got invited to dinner.
We had a dinner.
And it was a nice dinner. And then they took us in the basement and sat us down and was like,
we went in.
Look, you two.
We went in
because I was like, once you get to, obviously if you have a day of being married where you're arguing, no big deal. But when you get to the point where you're arguing for a couple weeks, obviously Toya probably was talking to Simone. I'm calling Cecil like, she done this, she done that, talking to me in any kind of way. I bet that it's not going to happen. Then you get to the point where like, okay, let's sit y'all down before this gets any worse. So
we love them together, right? I mean, they get each other. They are, in my opinion, they feed off of each other. Where I think some of what makes Toya great is some of the challenges that Eugene will push her to. Some of the things that Eugene, I think, gets out of his safe zone is because Toya pushes him. I love that. And to see them between 9 and 10 going off in different directions, I was like, wait a minute, we can't have this.
Right.
And so it was a spirited conversation.
Yeah,
now,
I think the pushing is the right word. When you think somebody's pushing you because you feel like they have good intentions, then you're okay with the push. But when your focus is, the kids, work, this, that, and the other, then when you get pushed and you're not paying attention to why you got pushed, you feel like it's an attack. And I think for a second we felt like we were being attacked by each other as opposed to being pushed because the other person loved us and was trying to make us better. So we were fussing about stuff that was like, well, you're not helping me. Well, you're not helping me. It was like, well, we actually need if we just band together, we realize that we have the same goals.
You're on the same team.
We're on the same team. We just need to refocus. So that's why I was like, after a certain point in marriage, I think you really have to re-engage, especially once your kids get to be like that preteen age when they don't need you as much.
Right.
You got to re-engage back into almost like a dating, courting kind of thing, because your focus so much was about keeping these kids okay, and then all of a sudden they're fine. They don't need you.
Right.
They wake up in the morning, go to school, they come home, they make their own food. They don't really need nothing except for some guidance on big issues. Now we're sitting in the house like looking at each other like, okay, well, for the last 5 years, I have new interests, and she's got new interests, and we're looking at each other like, well, who are you? Well, who are you? And so then when the person tries to say, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z, it's like, well, you don't know me. Who are you to tell me? Like, and the same thing with her. Like, I'm like, I don't want to hear about tennis. She's like, well, I love tennis. I don't want to hear about it. It's like we were just talking two different languages. So
and you guys saw that, and obviously, like you said, you would confide in him, and she would confide in Simone. So you guys had this intervention with other couples to really save this marriage.
The beauty of it, though, Carlos, was this: when we were talking to Eugene, Toya was the one that was like protecting him. She was like, no, you don't get it. When we were talking to Toya and saying, Toya, you can't do this, Eugene was the one protecting Toya. Once I saw that, I was like, okay, they good.
Yeah. But it's one of those, like, that's the beauty of having couples that knew, they've already been on that journey. They knew what was about to happen. So it was like, let's talk to y'all before it happens.
No, that's, and again, but that's why we love this show. We love this season 5 reunion when they rallied with you and Dr. Simone, and we love that we're able to hear that too, because look, I know you read things about your wife. People really are afraid that Toya is going to take you to the poorhouse. Is there any fear in...
No.
Because I'm going to tell you what it is. They feel like this poor... Even last night when I was on live with Dr. Hemley, people are obsessed with this dynamic because they feel sorry for you. They think Toya is spending all your money.
Look, Toya makes more money than I do right now. Okay? Okay.
Go.
Right. For over a year's time, for the last
La
several
Toya
years.
Bush Harris.
No, just Toya. No love. No love.
Don't put no love.
Look,
She'll go into luck. You about to get in trouble, brother.
As hard as I work.
No, you're right.
Let the record reflect.
Ain't no love.
Let the record
Toya
reflect.
makes more money than you.
Yes. So how am I going broke when she's, like, for the last several years, she's made more money than I do?
Dr. Eugene Harris.
It's okay. Now, I hold my own. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, not at all. But it's just...
Yeah, the show pays money. The show pays green money,
well,
right?
I know that. But I think the perception has been... Because I'm going to tell you... And again, I'm sure you read this. They said Toya is living her best soft life.
She is living a great life.
Toya wakes up. They said Toya has the kids wake her up to say, Mama, take me to school. Because Toya is in bed until 12:45 until it's time to go to the 1 o'clock tennis match. And that this poor man is working around the clock to live up to Toya's standards.
Okay. To clear, again, let me clear up several things. One, Toya makes a good amount of money. All the stuff Toya is buying right now, Toya pays for. Toya also pays for the boys' tuition. Toya pays for all of our vacations. Toya pays for a lot of stuff in our house.
Well, you spilling it.
Okay?
You spilling it.
Toya's
right
got
now.
money.
Right.
Okay? So she's not broke, and she's not going to take me to the poorhouse. Okay? Close your mouth, Carlos. Okay. It's okay.
I am floored.
Okay.
Now, are you using Toya for her?
No. Okay. Yes, I'm a cat man now. Now, beyond that, the next part is whether we did this show or not, whether Toya had $1 million a year or not, whether she was a billionaire or not. I like working. That's what I do. So it doesn't matter how much my woman makes. This is how much I want to work anyway. I'm a workaholic. I was texting patients before I got here. I work night shifts in the ER still. Like I'm a hospice director now. I do a lot, but I like doing it. That's what I do.
And you're not doing it because, again, the perception
I'm not doing it to keep a lifestyle.
Right.
I'm doing it because that's what I like to do. I like being in the hospital working. I like seeing patients. I was, like Simone's story, I grew up in not that great of a neighborhood in southeast D.C. My family moved to Maryland. All I've ever said, well, I wanted to be an astronaut first. Then I saw the Challenger blow up, and I was like, no, forget that. And after that, I was going to be a doctor. And I wanted to do this my whole life. And that's it. That's the only thing I've ever said. Nobody's ever heard me say I wanted to do anything else. So why wouldn't I do it?
Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm really glad we have this because again, so when you see these, I mean, listen,
I used to get mad on Twitter and be like, they tell, get a job. I was like, you're watching her job. I was like, I can't fight the whole Twitter. I was like, so I stopped.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
So, but I mean, I like working. This is what I do. And Damon, I used to work with Damon in the ER Damon will say to this day, I was the happiest person he ever saw working in the ER. Because Damon hated it. And I would show up, I was like, man, why are you so sad? Like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, don't you like doing this? This is great, Dr.
Heavenly said that you guys are renting your home, and because she's a financial expert that has Dr. University, she feels that you two are wasting your money. She said y'all spend between $10,000 and $15,000 a month to rent a house when that money should be used in equity for a home.
Okay, that's her opinion. She don't pay none of my bills. I really don't care what Heavenly has to say.
I mean, but the same thing. The guy on Netflix, How to Live Your Rich Life, he has a show out there, and he talks about renting has a lot of different values to it. Number one, you don't have to worry about the maintenance and upkeep. If something goes wrong, you call your landlord. Renting gives you the ability to be able to move if you need to. It also gives you the flexibility, as long as you're saving, it gives you the flexibility to not necessarily time the market, but to buy when you're ready to buy. And so I know in our community it's always about don't rent. But the truth is, I'm a realtor now. Mm-hmm. And so in this market, a lot of people have to rent.
Well,
I'm not saying that. I know that's not your situation, but there are people out here in today's time, they have to rent. Well, and it's not a negative.
To clear up for the audience, I suppose, during the 10 seasons, I have owned 2 houses that you've seen me in, and I've rented 3 houses. Different scenarios why I was in all of them. When I moved to Atlanta, I was in a house in Southwest Atlanta. We got to the point where the neighborhood wasn't very safe. We were the only house on that street that did not get broken into. We had a car broken into, but the actual house did not get broken into. And Toya was like, I got these 2 kids. I'm moving, whether you come or not. And that was like, that we got to move. We moved somewhere that was, I think, a little above where we probably should have been. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, was it affordable? Yes. But the bad part, which we never really talked about this on the show, I was an assistant director at my emergency department at that time. When we moved into that big house with the hill, I lost that year about $150,000 in revenue that year because my company got rid of the assistant directorship. So I lost a bunch of money. So I'm in the house like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? That's when I had my tax problems. So all this stuff's got a reason for it. We moved into a house. I was like, oh, if I had that $150,000, I'm Gucci, But I moved into it. I'm already signed the paper. We're already in it. Now we got an issue. But we were very open and honest, like, hey, let's talk about budget. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we need to move. I think we were a good example of what you do when you're in a financial issue for a lot of people. Move to a smaller place. We got our money together. We bought a house. Now, the house we bought, kind of a piece of trash, if I must say so. Mm-hmm. It looked great on the surface.
Everybody, the house that you guys built,
the dream house. The
2-story closet.
The 2-story closet was a wonderful house. There was a lot of issues that we didn't want to put out on a show. They didn't have time to put, but you've heard some of the stuff we had with that house. And the market was such that we sold it for about $800,000 more than we paid for it.
So you made a profit off that.
I made a profit, right? So now I'm renting until I find what I want. I think that's okay. And unless Heavenly wants to pay some of my bills, she can just keep her opinion. I don't really care. It's okay.
I don't think she's gonna pay any bills.
Well, okay,
I don't think she's gonna pay any
her
bills.
opinion is just that, an
I don't
opinion.
think she's paying
Well,
bills.
no, look, I appreciate you guys coming through because, again, you don't unfortunately get an opportunity to express yourselves. And you two, out of all the guys on the show, make the biggest impact when it comes to this show. So to have the opportunity to talk to you two has been great. This has been a great season. It's been a phenomenal season.
It has been a great season.
Phaedra is on the show. Do you guys think she should stay on the show, go back to Atlanta Housewives?
Now, here's one little nugget. The only nugget I'll give for the reunion, and actually, I don't know if a camera was up when I said this to Phaedra. I like Phaedra for the show, but I did tell Phaedra I gave her some grace this year because I gave Quad a lot of flack for being single on the show. Because I again, going back to what I loved about the show earlier was that we're an all married ensemble. Mm-hmm. I love that for us, and I wanted to keep that moniker. And so I did give Quad some flack back in the day. I gave Phaedra some grace that I never brought it up this year. I said, but next year, we got to find you a man. And she said, okay. You know, this was after the reunion was done. We were walking out. I was like, we got to find you a man if you staying.
Do you think she should stay?
I like her for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's super funny. She's super funny. She's made for TV.
Absolutely.
But I kept waiting for the boyfriend. I kept waiting for the boyfriend. That's kind of how our show works. So I'm like, okay, when is the boyfriend coming around? When he didn't come around the first couple of weeks, okay, I get it. But then when I realized he wasn't coming around, it definitely changes the dynamic of our show. And Eugene and I talk about this all the time, is that from my perspective as a guy, you know, and the guys that I talk to, that I meet in the gym, I meet at Costco, the guys that watch the show with their wives and their girlfriends, they watch it because they love to see the dynamic of the couples. Mm-hmm. They love to see how you are dealing with your situation. And I think that this year with Phaedra and then also Quad, and Quad is real private when it comes to her relationship, so she never brings a guy around on the show, so we don't get to meet anybody that she's dating. She's dating. She is dating. It's Quad. So you know she's dating. It's Quad. You know she's dating, right? I mean, she is such a charismatic type that's here in Atlanta. Everybody loves her. So I know she's dating. Phaedra's dating too, I'm sure. But the thing is, they're not allowing that to happen on our show. And for me, as much as I love Phaedra, I feel like if she's going to come back, we need to see who she's dating. We need to bring him into the group. We got to bring him to Cigar City Club. He got to hang out with us.
Right.
We got to see what he's talking about. Same thing with Quad. And Quad will tell you, I've been telling her from the beginning, like, hey, I know you don't want to show your guy, but we got to meet him. I mean, your big brother has to meet your guys, and you got to let them know on the front end. They got to come on the show, and we got to talk.
And what does she say to that?
She be like, they're not coming. She's not doing it. But
well, I appreciate you two coming because, again, this has been a great conversation, and I'm happy to report, well, you guys can report back to your wives that this was a great conversation.
Beautiful conversation.
But also much needed conversation. And also, no, seriously, I am so happy you cleared the air about this perception when it comes to Toya. Yes. Because I literally, and I know her, I didn't know that.
I spend money too. It's just...
No. But I love the fact that we get to stop perpetuating this stereotype that Toya is a kept woman who spends her money and people are afraid like this poor man is about to go to the poorhouse to buy her Chanel bag. Right. But I also love the fact that you are able to really speak so candidly about the struggles you faced with Dr. Simone and the Tammy situation and how that did affect you. Because again, a lot of men watch this show. I have a show, Love and Marriage Franchise. I'm like you, the gym. I don't go to Costco's, but I do go to Target. And every once in a while, if a man is in Target, because they usually aren't, you know, they do stop me and say like, yo, I watch your stuff with my wife. Because my wife put me on this show and I like the men's perspective. And I appreciate y'all perspective. And I appreciate y'all for coming on Reality with the King. And we got to do this again.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate
We really appreciate you for allowing this to happen.
Yes, yes. Anytime. Married to Medicine airs every Sunday at 8 o'clock. No, actually.
9
p.m.
We should
Eastern
be 8
Standard.
o'clock.
Oh, Cecil
We should probably be 8 o'clock.
I like the 9
He wants
o'clock.
that Potomac time slot.
That 8 o'clock
He
is the
wants the 8
right
o'clock
time.
Housewives time slot. No, Married to Medicine comes on every Sunday at 9 o'clock 8 Central on Bravo. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That was
Appreciate
good.
you.
All right, Raindrops. Now, I hope you enjoyed that video. And if you did, that means you should love these suggested videos right here. So make sure you click on one of these and watch it. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel.